Hey guys, I'm here to wrap up my thoughts on this year's Man Booker shortlist because the winner will be announced tomorrow, October 17th. I did a video for the Bailey's Prize this year where I imagined different factors that literary judges might consider in prizes like these, so I'll link that below. It's funny, I was so pale in all of my Bailey's videos. Like, I looked like a ghost was trying to escape from my body. And it's gonna happen again. Like, that's how I look every winter. Anyway, I read 5 of the 6 shortlisted books this year, and of those 5, I've done full non-spoiler reviews of 4, and the 5th will be coming soon. Those will be linked down in the description box if you want more details about any of these books. I also reviewed 2 books from the Longlist, Days Without End by Sebastian Barry and Home Fire by Kamala Shamsi, and even though the award is technically concluding tomorrow, I'm still going to be doing 2 more full reviews of long-listed books, Swing Time by Zadie Smith and The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. And even if these don't get a lot of views, it's just a fun personal project at this point. Here we go with the shortlist. The one that I can't rank because I haven't read it and will never read it is 4321 by Paul Auster. 900 pages of stilted, thinly veiled autobiography and limited editing. No thanks. But I don't think this one will win for a reason that I'll talk about later. So, number 5 is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. This has a detached, fable-esque narrator and follows 2 lovers in a war-torn Middle Eastern city as they flee to Britain and America through magical doors. It's about the refugee experience, about people losing their families and homes to violence and trying to build new ones in countries where they're seen as problems, not people. I liked the love story and the magical realist element, but I thought the writing was terrible, and that although the ideas themselves were deep, ultimately they were dealt with in a superficial way. But I liked all the others, so that's good. Number 4 is Elmet by Fiona Mosley. This is the indie pick of BookTube at the moment. It takes place in Yorkshire in a recent past that feels timeless and follows 2 teenagers and their daddy as they build a house and live an isolated life in the countryside. It has Robin Hood vibes and looks at class, land ownership, and gender neutrality with some beautiful landscape writing thrown in. I thought there were problems with the structure, especially the narrator's voice, and a good chunk of this book was boring. I like detail, but not copious, mundane, predictable detail. So this was a mixed bag for me, but it's a really interesting book, and it's the one from the shortlist that I haven't done a full review on yet. That'll be coming later this week, and I'll be able to explain myself better in that format, so I hope you'll check it out. Number 3 is History of Wolves by Emily Fridland, and it's funny, the 2 debuts on the shortlist have gotten almost polar opposite reactions on BookTube. So Elmet has been loved to the point where I've heard almost no one discuss its flaws, and History of Wolves has been picked apart. But I think this one is the sharper debut. We follow a friendless teenager growing up in the backwoods of Minnesota, and this book is broadly about her awakening, socially, sexually, morally, through a series of strange interactions at school and at her new neighbor's house. The main criticism of this book seems to be that Fridland tried to do too much. That wasn't my experience of it. I thought the different storylines coalesced subtly but nicely. This is a book that to a certain extent tries to repel the reader. It's not going to give you what you want, but it will give you crisp, icy writing and a fascinating narrator. Number 2 is Autumn by Ali Smith. You've all heard the song and dance about this one. It's the first in her seasonal quartet and is in part her response to Brexit. It follows 2 British friends and neighbors, a woman in her 30s and a dying 100-year-old man, and it's about the big things: time, literature, art, friendship, and the stories we tell ourselves to understand personal and national identity. It's not my favorite of her novels that I've read. I think the structure is a little loose and it feels incomplete, but it's full of wit, wordplay, and warmth. The 3 Ali Smith W's, basically. And number 1 is a book that burrowed its way into my heart, Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. This is about Abraham Lincoln and how when his 11-year-old son Willie died from typhoid fever, Lincoln visited Willie's crypt several times to hold his body. It also follows various inhabitants of that graveyard and is told in an unconventional style that reads like part play script, part historical documents. It's about grief and learning to say goodbye to the people you love and saying goodbye to this weird horrible, wonderful world. It made me cry. It's also really funny in parts and made me laugh. And I think it's such an achievement. So clearly I want Lincoln in the Bardo to win. It's the class of the field. I think it should win, but I would be very surprised if it did, because Saunders is an American man, and an American man won last year. Now, people doubted whether the Booker would be awarded to 2 Black male writers in a row, and it was, to Marlon James in 2015 and Paul Beatty in 2016. But there's still so much controversy surrounding the recent inclusion of Americans in the Booker Prize. And I completely understand that, but a small part of me thinks, why do you think we write in English? It's like, sorry, only former colonies that are still less powerful than us are invited. Regardless, I don't think the prize is going to an American this year, not when there are 2 non-American options that are incredibly topical, and those are Exit West and Autumn. I can sum up my feelings if Exit West wins with the title of a previous Man Booker winner. So my fingers are crossed for Autumn. Overall, I had a lot of fun with the Man Booker Prize this year, and I'm sorry that I won't be getting to Reservoir 13, Solar Bones, or The Ministry of Utmost Happiness in the near future, but they are on my TBR, and 9 of 13 is pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I actually think that the Booker Longlist was much stronger than the Bailey's Longlist this year, which is not my usual opinion. And although I don't think that these 6 shortlisted books are the best from the Booker Longlist, and I don't even necessarily think that the judges would claim they're the 6 best. Neil Griffiths has some great thoughts on this in a video I'll link below. Still, it's an interesting shortlist, and there's something refreshing about it. To close things out, I have a bunch of people linked below who have been talking about these Booker titles on BookTube. They're listed roughly in order of who's reviewed the most books, and the 2 to highlight are Kate Armstrong, a British author who has the superlative series on the Man Booker Prize this year, full, fantastic, thoughtful reviews on every single book, and Hannah from Beginning to Bookend, who's also gone through the whole list. And I think watching our channels back to back would be an interesting experience, because we agree on some titles and then have polar opposite reactions to others. For the Bailey's Prize this year, our favorite and least favorite books were completely reversed. But I think that's one of the best things about literary prizes, is having this direct comparison of so many different reactions to the same books. And feel free to mention anyone else that I missed who's been talking about the Booker Prize in the comments below. Let me know what you think about any of these books or on the whole Booker 2017 list in general, and I'll see you soon. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.